There was a time when this Earth did not belong only to us. If you walked across this planet 40 or 50,000 years ago, you would have found humans who looked similar to us, but not exactly like us. Some were shorter and stronger, some had thick bones and bodies built for icy weather, some lived on islands where evolution had changed them so dramatically it would be hard to believe, and some are so mysterious that we know them not by their faces, but by their DNA. And then there were us, Homo sapiens. Today, we are alone. The only human species left on this entire Earth, not the strongest, not the oldest, not the ones who survived the longest, just the last. And that is the question that keeps you up at night. Where did everyone else go? Because for most of human history, being human was not one thing. It was a family, a tangled, sprawling, experimenting family. Evolution did not make humans once. It kept trying. Different bodies, different minds, different ways of surviving the same dangerous world. But one by one, every one of those branches withered. And the strange part is that we still do not fully know why. There was no single moment when the world chose Homo sapiens. No one great battle, no one catastrophe. Just a slow, silent disappearance. Small populations breaking apart, climate shifting, food running out, new competitors arriving, some groups merging, some dying. And sometimes, maybe just bad luck. The first species you need to understand is Homo erectus. And Homo erectus was not a failed experiment. In some ways, they were the most successful human who ever lived. They came long before us, around 2 million years ago. Their bodies had a kind of modernity. Long legs, shorter arms, a frame built for walking and running across open land. They were among the first humans to spread beyond Africa, reaching parts of Asia, and they survived for a stretch of time that is almost dizzying to think about. The entire history of Homo sapiens so far. Homo erectus lived far longer than that. If we think of ourselves as permanent, Homo erectus should make us nervous. Their faces were different from ours. A heavy brow ridge, a flat skull, a smaller brain than ours, but they made stone tools, hunted and lived across vast territories through changing environments, and for a very long time that was enough. But the last known Homo erectus fossils, found on the island of Java, are around 117,000 years old. By then, the world had changed. Climate was unstable, forests expanded and shrank, rivers changed course, and Homo erectus, after surviving for more than 1 million years, disappeared. We do not know exactly why, but their story delivers one lesson very early. Surviving for a long time is not the same as surviving forever. Then come the Neanderthals. The human species people think they already know. For years they were called primitive, backward, half-human. That is wrong. Neanderthals were not failed humans. They were a different answer to the same question. How do you survive the Ice Age? Their bodies were formidable, shorter than us but far stronger. Wide chests, heavy arms, thick bones. They hunted large animals at very close range, which made their lives extraordinarily dangerous. The injuries found on their bones resemble those of people who ride bulls in rodeos. They made fire. They made tools. They cared for their injured. They may have used pigments and ornaments. They were not monsters lurking in dark caves. They were a different kind of people. And after surviving for hundreds of thousands of years, when Homo sapiens began moving into their world, around 40 years ago, the Neanderthals disappeared. The old answer was simple. We arrived, we were smarter, we wiped them out. The real answer is not that clean. Neanderthals lived in small scattered populations. That is dangerous. Small groups can be erased by a single bad winter, a failed hunt, a disease. Their DNA shows low genetic diversity, meaning they may have already been vulnerable before Homo sapiens became a serious factor. On top of that, climate kept shifting. Cold, then warm, then cold again. Animals changed, plants changed, landscapes rearranged themselves. And then we arrived, a species that could build large social networks, spread ideas across great distances, a species that was more flexible. Neanderthals probably did not lose one great war. They were worn down by thousands of small defeats. Isolation, climate, competition, and time. Then there are the Denisovans, and they are almost like ghosts. We have Neanderthal skulls, bones, and tools. The Denisovan story began with a tiny finger bone found in a cave in Siberia. So small it did not look like it could rewrite human history. But DNA revealed it belonged to an unknown human group, not Neanderthal, not Homo sapiens, something else entirely. Denisovans may have spread across a vast stretch of Asia, Siberia, the Tibetan Plateau, possibly Southeast Asia. But their fossils are frustratingly scarce. One finger bone, a few teeth, jaw fragments. For years, we did not even know what their faces looked like, and yet their genetic footprint is enormous. Populations in Oceania and parts of Asia carry Denisovan ancestry. Tibetans inherited a gene that helps them breathe at high altitude, and it came from Denisovan-related humans. Think about that. A vanished human species is still helping Tibetans breathe in the mountains today. But as a living population, Denisovans are gone too. Around 30,000 to 40,000 years ago. Why? We do not know. The Denisovans remind us of something deeply unsettling. A human species can disappear so completely that all that remains are fragments and code. No cities, no stories, just DNA. And then there is a Homo floresiensis, the strangest chapter in this entire story. On the island of Flores in Indonesia, scientists found the remains of a tiny ancient human, so small they were nicknamed hobbits. Standing barely 1 meter tall, small brain, small body, and yet they made tools and survived on an island filled with giant birds, Komodo dragons, and dwarf elephants called stegodon. At first, people could barely believe it. Were they diseased modern humans? Some abnormal population? But the evidence pointed to something far more astonishing. They were a separate human species, a small island human. Islands do strange things to evolution. Large animals shrink, small animals grow. Island dwarfism. And Homo floresiensis may be the most dramatic example of it in the entire human family. Their fossils date to between 100,000 and 60,000 years ago. Stone tools associated with them go as late as 50,000 years ago. And that date is haunting. You do not need a global catastrophe. Just a little less water, a little less prey, a little more competition, one volcanic eruption, one bad stretch of generations, and an entire human species is gone. Homo floresiensis only wanted to survive on one island, and even that turned out not to be safe. So why did Homo sapiens survive when the others did not? This is where the answer becomes dangerous if we make it too simple. The easy answer is, we were smarter. But Neanderthals were intelligent. Denisovans adapted to extreme environments. Homo erectus survived longer than us. Homo floresiensis lived in a world that would terrify modern humans. So intelligence alone cannot be the answer. The answer may be connection. Homo sapiens were unusually good at building large social networks. Not just families, not just small bands, but a wide web of people, through which ideas, tools, and information could flow. If one group failed, another carried the knowledge forward. If one region became harsh, people could move. If one tool worked, it did not stay trapped in one valley. That was perhaps our greatest strength, not the individual brain, but the network between brains. But even that is not the complete truth. Luck played a role. Geography played a role. Timing played a role. Population size played a role. Maybe Homo sapiens survived partly because we happened to be in the right places with the right numbers at the right moments. The other humans were not stepping stones to us. They were not unfinished versions of us. They were their own experiments, their own histories, their own ways of being human. Homo erectus, gone after more than 1 million years. Neanderthals, gone after surviving the entire Ice Age world. Denisovans, leaving behind only broken bones and genetic clues. Homo floresiensis, vanishing right at the threshold of our arrival. Today when we say human, we mean Homo sapiens, but only because every other meaning disappeared. We are not the top of a ladder. We are the last surviving branch of a tree that once had many living branches. And maybe that should make us feel less superior, not more. Because if the story of the other humans teaches us anything, it is this. Extinction does not only come for the weak, it comes for the isolated, the unlucky, the over-specialized, the outnumbered, those living through changes too fast to survive. And one day, if we are not careful, the last human species could learn the very same lesson.